This subject is industrial marketing. So this is lecture number 1. Okay, so industrial marketing lecture number 1. I, Dr. Rohan Dehwale, welcome you. So this was the introduction of the markets. First, the industrial market systems, concepts and characteristics. Then industrial markets and industrial buying behavior. So we have to learn these 3 chapters. So this was our first chapter. Learning objective were to understand the basic concepts of industrial marketing. Okay, then we have started with the introduction. The fundamentals of consumer marketing are equally applicable to this industrial marketing also. So the work industrial market is exclusively different than the traditional B2B market. There is a difference between B2B market and B2C market. So in this particular subject, we are more concerned about B2B market. The marketing concept for the business enterprise of the industrial buyer is to define the needs of the target market. So we have to identify the target market accordingly. So we are having the clients as our target market for industrial marketing. Uh, then the definition of industrial marketing. So the word industrial marketing is interchangeably used as business to business marketing, or just business marketing, or maybe organizational marketing. Industrial marketing or business marketing refers to the marketing of the products and services to the business organization, maybe manufacturing companies, government undertakings, private sector organization, educational institute, hospitals, distributors and dealers, and so on. The need of and objective of industrial buyers are to satisfied through the following exchange. So what we are exchanging? So we are exchanging products, we are exchanging information. Societal exchange and financial exchange is taking place between B2B clients. So the product exchange, the features of product or service involved have a significant impact on industrial exchange process. The ease of exchange process depends on the ability of the seller to identify the buyer's need and the product's potential to satisfy those needs. Information can be pre-sale, sale, and post-sale maintenance and servicing must be exchanged with the participation of decision making of the business organization or buying firms. In financial exchange, the granting of credit or need to exchange the money from one currency to another at the time of dealing with the foreign buyers or customers that are included in this particular exchange, that is financial exchange. There exists a reciprocity between the buyer and seller in reference to financial exchange. And societal exchange, that is societal exchange is important to reduce the uncertainty between the buyer and seller. So avoiding the short term difficulties and maintaining the long term exchange relationship with one another. So these are the characteristics of industrial and consumer marketing. So these are the basic of the marketing management is deciding the target markets, then finding out the needs and wants of the target market, then developing and products and services to meet the requirements of the target market, and evolving marketing programs or strategies to reach out to satisfy the customers that we are dealing with. So this is about general marketing, but the industrial marketing is maybe the concept apply to both industrial and consumer market is the previous concept, but the industrial markets are geographically concentrated. The customers are relatively fewer, the distribution channels are here that way short than the consumer marketing. The buyers are well informed, that is clients are well informed. Then buying organizations are highly organized, and use of sophisticated buying techniques are adopted by these buyers, and purchasing decisions are based on the observable stages in the industrial marketing. So this is the difference between the consumer markets and industrial markets. So we have some basis. On these basis, we are comparing industrial markets with consumer markets. So as far as the market characteristics concern, we will just read out for industrial markets. So as far as the market characteristics are concerned, geographically concentrated and relatively few buyers are there in industrial markets. Then the products are technically having the complexity, and morely they are not mass products, but they are customized products. Then services, timely delivery and availability is very important for services. Buyer involvement, so involvement of various functional areas in both buyer and supplier firms. Then decision making is they are having observable stages and it is distinct. And channel characteristics, the distribution channels, like after the products are manufactured, we are having the distribution channels so that the products ultimately reaches to the final consumers. So here in industrial markets, the distribution channels are shorter, they are more direct, and there are fewer intermediaries or middlemen. Like in consumer markets, there are layers of intermediaries. There may be a chain of wholesalers or chain of retailers, and maybe both. Promotional characteristics, industrial marketing is mostly based or emphasis is given on personal selling. And price characteristics, competitive bidding and negotiated prices. And many of the times list of prices for the standard products, they are having catalogs and all, so that can be provided in the industrial markets. Then market characteristics can be the size of the market and competitive nature of the markets and geographical concentration. Also the product characteristics, buyer behavior that we can study here. So that I have covered in detail, and I have sent you the Google YouTube link for these things. Also channel characteristics are also important here. So this is the difference between the channel characteristics of industrial buying behavior and the consumer buying behavior that I have covered. Then promotional characteristics, as we have discussed before, the consumer marketing is emphasis is mostly given on the advertisement, whereas in industrial or business marketing, the importance is given to personal selling through the company's dedicated sales force. As a result, much larger expenditure budget is provided for advertising in the consumer marketing as compared to the industrial marketing. So this is about the price characteristics. Also, demand in the industrial market. The demand for industrial products and services does not survive by itself. It is derived from the ultimate demand for the consumer goods and services. So it is indirect that way. So therefore industrial demand is called as derived demand. Sometimes the demand of for the industrial product is also called as joint demand, where the demand for a particular product depends on its use along with the existence of other product or products. Cross elasticity of demands exists for some substitute products in industrial markets, and that can be given here is what is you called it as derived demand and joint demand and cross elasticity of demand that I have explained. Okay, after that we can just have a summary of this chapter number 1. So in all, the concept of industrial marketing may be referred as the marketing of goods and services to the business organizations, namely manufacturing companies, then service organizations, institutes, and middlemen in private and public sector organization, and government undertakings also. The difference between the industrial and consumer marketing conceptually in the type of demand itself. While industrial marketing is based on the derived demand, the consumer marketing is based on the primary demand. Again, based on certain characteristics like market, product, buying behavior, channel, distribution channel, then promotional activities, various prices. These both industrial markets and consumer markets are different in nature. The demand for industrial products is derived from the ultimate demand for the consumer goods and services. It is therefore called as a derived demand. This derived demand are also are having two types: joint demand and cross elasticity of demand. Joint demand occurs when the industrial product is required if the other products also exist. And cross elasticity of demand is the reaction of the sales of one product to a price change in the another product. Then a small case study I just wanted to discuss. This is the scenario or situation analysis instead of case study, you can say. So you just have been hired as a product manager with profit responsibility for your company brand of the industrial robot. In preparation for developing a market plan, you decide to learn more about the buying behavior of industrial buying of the markets. So, how would you go about setting the objectives for this study? So that you have to discuss. So this was about the unit number one. Okay, rather chapter number one. So this glimpse I have given. Now next is we will today talk about in more details about the industrial markets. So this is lecture number two. I, Dr. Om Prabhakar Devale, again welcome you. So today we will talk about industrial markets in detail, and now my pace will be a bit slower because first time we are going to study this. So what we are learning now, the learning objective for this particular session is we will describe the diversity of industrial consumers and the types of products and services they purchase. So what is there in industrial market? Then we will know the influencing forces of marketing strategies in terms of the type of customers being served and the product or service being marketed. Also, we will try to learn the characteristics of organizational purchasing. So, how the purchasing is done in any particular organization? What are the characteristics that we will try to learn in today's lecture? So, first, we will start with the introduction. To develop an effective marketing plan, an industrial marketer need to understand the industrial markets. The industrial market is composed of commercial enterprises, government organizations, public or private institutions, and cooperative societies, whose purchasing decisions may vary with the type of industrial goods and services under consideration. Here, effective marketing programs thus depend upon a breakthrough understanding of how the marketing strategy should be differ with the type of organization being targeted and the products being sold. So here we cannot apply the one size fits all type of policy. Depending on the type of organization, depending on the product, and depending on the targets, we have to design the marketing strategy. The industrial market is characterized by the diversity both in customers served and products sold. Component parts, spare parts, accessory equipments, and services are the majority example of the products generally purchased by the variety of clients in the industrial markets. So, industrial distributors or dealers who in turn sell the other industrial consumers or commercial businesses or government owned institutions buy a variety of products in one way or another and are important to functioning of their business endeavors. Knowing how this immense array of industrial consumers purchase and use products and what criteria are important in their purchasing decision is important aspect of industrial marketing strategy. For this purpose, industrial sellers understand various types of industrial buyers. So to understand this, we need to understand types of industrial consumers. So next slide is here we are going to talk about the types. So industrial consumers are normally classified into four groups: commercial enterprises, then government agencies, various institutions, and cooperative societies. Now, this is the diagram. First diagram that industrial consumers can be broadly categorized as commercial enterprises, government consumers, then institutional customers and cooperative customers or cooperative societies. Further, we are having the entire chart. I hope this chart is visible to you. So, commercial enterprises can be industrial distributors, maybe intermediaries. Then OEM, that is original equipment manufacturer, that is Exide for the battery products, they are OEMs. Then various users, that is TVS Suzuki, that in the last column we are taking some examples. So users, so maybe for commercial enterprises, the TVS Suzuki is user for the HMT machine tools. Then for government to consumers, here the public sector units are there, like Maruti Udyog Limited, or some government undertakings such as the State Electricity Board, or the defense units and industrial railways and all. Then institutional customers, that includes public institutions like government hospitals, and private institutions like various schools and colleges or private colleges. Cooperative societies or cooperative customers, so maybe manufacturing units like Maharashtra Sugar Cooperative Society, or non-manufacturing units like various cooperative banks and housing cooperative societies and so on. So these are the various types of industrial customers. We need to understand we are dealing with which type of the industrial customer. Now we will try to find out all these points, like what are commercial enterprises, then industrial dealers and distributors or OEMs in detail. So first we will start with commercial enterprises. Commercial enterprises are private sector, profit seeking organizations such as IBM, General Motors, Computer Land, and Raven Company, purchasing industrial goods or services or both for the purpose of the other selling directly to the ultimate customers. However, since they purchase products for different uses, it is more useful from a marketing point of view to define them in a such a way to understand their purchasing needs at the time of examination of the varieties of products they purchase, and how the marketing strategies can be developed to meet their needs. Thus, it is more logical to look at the commercial enterprises like the industrial distributors or dealers, OEMs, that is original equipment manufacturers, and various users. Sometimes these categories tend to overlap with each other. However, it is useful for the industrial marketers because one is able to understand the ways of uses of the products and services in buying the firms. So now we will start with these all these three in detail. We will start with the industrial distributors and dealers. Industrial distributors and dealers take title to goods. Thus, they are industrial marketers, intermediaries, acting in the similar capacity to wholesalers or even retailers. The intermediaries means middlemen, not only serve the consumer markets but also serve the business enterprises, government agencies, or private and public institutions. They purchase industrial goods and resell them into the same form of the industrial consumers. Next are OEMs, original equipment manufacturers. These industrial customers purchases the industrial goods to incorporate the product into the final product they produce. For instance, a tire manufacturing, say MRF, who sells tire to a truck manufacturing company, say Telco. Under such circumstances, the truck manufacturer is referred as an OEM. Thus, the product of the industrial marketer, that is MRF, becomes the part of another firm's final product, say Telco in this particular case. Then, what are users? An industrial consumer or industrial customer who purchases industrial products or services to support the manufacturing process or to facilitate the business operation is referred as user. You can take example, drilling machines, press vending machines, and so on are the products which supports manufacturing process. Again, the products such as computers, fax machines, telephones, and other facilitate the operations of business. A manufacturer can be a user or an OEM. For example, a car manufacturing company buy a drilling machine to support the manufacturing operations is referred to as a user. The same car manufacturing also buys batteries, which incorporated into cars, and in this case it will be OEM. Okay. So next part is government customers. Once again, next part is we are talking about government customers, institutions, cooperative societies, industrial products and services. At any point, if you are not having the clear idea of what I'm saying, you can stop me and I will explain. Okay. This is simple. That way, it is not as much difficult concepts yet. So we will be talking about then materials, plants, then raw materials, manufacturing materials, and components and parts. So I will start with the first, that is government customers. Just basic brief ideas about all these points. So government customers in India, the largest purchasers of the industrial products are central and state government departments, undertakings, and agencies such as railways, Department of Telecommunications, Defense, the Director General of Suppliers and Disposal, maybe the state transport undertakings, state electricity board, and so on and so forth. These governments units purchase almost all kind of industrial products and services. They represent a huge market. Next, institutions. The public and private institutions such as hospitals, schools, colleges, and universities are termed as institutional customers. Some of these institutions are having rigid purchase rules and regulation, while others are having some more flexible rules. An industrial marketing person need to understand the purchasing practices of each institute so as to be he can effectively do the marketing of the products and services. So maybe a publishing house is there, like Himalaya Publication House or Sengage Publication House, and in that case, the college library will be there purchasing unit. So they need to have some efforts of selling their books to the library. Okay, so this is how the industry to industry or B2B type of example we can give in the institutions. Then cooperative societies, an association of persons form a cooperative society. It can be manufacturing units such as cooperative sugar mills or non-manufacturing organizations such as cooperative banks, cooperative housing societies. They are also the part of industrial customers. Now, what are industrial products and services? Industrial products and services also can be classified into broad groups like materials and parts, then capital items, then various types of supplies and services. So we will discuss them. First, materials and parts. Goods that enter the product directly consist of raw materials, manufactured products, materials, and component parts. The purchasing company, as a part of manufacturing cost, treats the cost as a current or capital cost. Raw materials, these are the basic products that enter into the production process with little or no alterations. They may be marketed as either OEMs or user customers. For instance, when a large bakery purchasing natural gas to fire the ovens that are used to produce cakes, so it is common customer or it is user. When the same firm purchases sugar from for the processing of the cakes, then it will be OEM. Then manufactured materials include those raw materials that are subjected to some amount of processing before entering the manufacturing process. Example, various types of acids, maybe steel, fuel oil, are the basic ingredients of manufacturing activities. Again, for example, the aluminum extrusion unit buys aluminum billets to manufacture aluminum extruded products such as doors, windows, and frames by using an extrusion press. Thus, aluminum billets are called as the manufacturing material because with the help of these aluminum billets, we are going to manufacture the aluminum windows and doors and frames. Now, next is component parts. Component parts such as electric motors, batteries, then instruments can be installed into the product with little or no additional changes. When these products are sold to customers who use them in their production process, the component parts are sold to buyer based on the buyer's specification. The component parts are sold to the dealers or distributors who resell them to replacement market. For example, Miko spark plugs are sold to truck or manufacturing car as well as to automobile dealers or distributors throughout the India. Now, what are capital items? Any idea? What are capital items? Or right, right. It is sort of, you can say here now, land etc. is okay, perfect. But here we are talking about industrial purchase, so that may be some machineries or heavy big machineries. Initially, we are purchasing for the production process. So capital items are generally used in production processes. They wear out over the certain time frame, maybe 10 years or 15 years, but it is for the investment. You can treat it them as the investment. So generally, they are treated as the depreciation expenses by the buying firm or the user customers. Again, these capital items can be categorized as the installation or heavy equipments, or accessories or light equipments. Then, as you said, plant and buildings. Okay, so these three. So now we will talk about all these three. So first we will talk about heavy equipments or installation. So installations are a major and long-term investment items such as various factories, office buildings, and fixed equipment such as big machineries, turbines, generators, furnaces, and earth-moving equipments. These items, when purchased, are shown in the balance sheet as plant and equipments. Since they are fixed assets to be depreciated over the certain period of years, however, these are leased. The purchaser treats the cost for the tax purchase or tax purpose as an expense. As the unit purchase price of the capital item is high, borrowing money for a period of time, which is roughly equivalent to the expected life of the fixed asset, finances these items. Next are various accessories or tools, or maybe light equipments you can call. So, light equipments, light means not heavy. Light equipments and tools which are having the lower prices or lower purchasing prices are not to be considered as a part of fixed plant, are power operated hand tools, small electric motors, ties, jigs, typewriters, and computer terminals. Purchases of accessories are either considered as the current expenses or purchases prices taken as the operating expenses in the year of the purchased, or they may be considered as fixed asset and therefore depreciated over a period of few years. Then last part, that is plant and buildings. These are the real estate property of a business or organization. It includes firms, offices, then plant for the plant or factories, warehouses, housing, parking lots, and so on. Now, the next part is supplies and services. So a few of the times we have seen that the security services, we are not hiring the security officers, we are having some tie up with the security officer provide services, so they are providing security guards to us. Maybe for housekeeping and maintenance we are having tie up with the other organizations. Also, a small firm may hire a CA for the accounting services, or maybe he may hire some advertisement agencies to do the promotional activities or advertisement. So not necessarily the organization, depending on the task and depending on the usability, they decide whether to go for the full time services or in house employees, or they may give contract to other organizations. That is again a part of 3PL, that is third party logistics or four party logistics. So industrial buying can be also, you can treat it not a product but suppliers also. So various suppliers and various services. So suppliers and services sustain the operations of purchasing organization. They do not become a part of the finished products. They are treated as operating expenses for the period in which they are consumed. These items are referred as maintenance, repairs, and operating items. Typically, it is called as MRO. Means M stands for maintenance, R stands for repair, and O stands for operating items. So first, we will talk about supplies. Supplies like items such as paint, soaps, oils, greases, then pencils, maybe typewriter ribbon, stationery, paperclip, pages come under this category. Generally, these items are standardized and marketed to a broad section of industrial users. Operating items such as again rugs, cotton, gloves, lubes, and such likes are considered to be operating items, since they are essential for running the machine smoothly. Next are various services. Companies need a broad range of services like building maintenance services, auditing services, legal services, courier services. Just now we talk about this. Maybe advertisement or marketing services. If you want to collect data from market, then you can take the help of marketing research services and so on. So these are the various type of services that generally we follow. I will just give this brief. So, what are the industrial consumers? And we have seen what can be used as the industrial products or services. Okay, now we will talk about marketing implications for different consumers and different product types. Consider for large uh, original equipment manufacturers, that is, large OEMs or users. Selling is done directly from seller to the buyer organization for materials and parts. Though for smaller volume OEMs and smaller volume users, the standard raw materials or components are sold through the industrial dealers or distributors as it is cost effective. In case of components are customer made, considerable interactions take place between the technical and commercial persons from both buyer and seller organization. And obviously, selling is done directly. It is therefore important for an organization or important for an industrial salesman to remain in close touch with the purchase or material department persons as well as with the quality department, research and development department, marketing department, account and finance persons of buyer organization, as all these are having influence on buying or payment releasing decisions. Apart from personal contracts, so if you want to do your job in B2B marketing, then this can be a hint to you. So apart from the personal contracts, the product leaflets, product showing brochures help industrial marketers in communicating with the product and other type of information or what type of services they are providing. In case of standard products, the factors which influence the buying decisions with the different share of businesses for various suppliers are product quality and performance, delivery dependability, price, payment terms, customer service, and customer support. When component parts such as batteries and tires are sold in the consumer replacement market, then marketers create a product differentiation through consumer advertisement or sell on a competitive price basis. For this, advertising and distribution through the multiple channels all over the country become an important part of the marketing strategy. For example, the CG, that is Crompton Grows Limited or Compton Groves manufacturing and markets a wide range of electric motor ranging from the fractional horsepower, that is FHP, to the large high tension, that is HT motors. So they are producing FHP motors and HT motors. Also, recently I have seen one program or manufacturing program on a Discovery Channel. Okay, the program was about manufacturing the ketchup or the tomato sauce, you can say. So for the normal consumers, 1 rupee sachet they were manufacturing, and apart from that, 250 grams or 250 liters or 1 liter pouches they are having. And for the large consumers, like they are supplying to McDonald, etc., or the hotels, they are having the 10-liter package packs also. So the company adopted a marketing strategy to sell its standard motors through a network of industrial dealers to small scale manufacturers all over India. However, the special purpose motors to the original equipments manufacturers, such as pump manufacturers and compressor manufacturers, are sold directly through its salespersons located at various branches. The field salespersons are trained in both technical and commercial aspect of selling and are required to establish a close rapport with various departments such as purchase, materials, quality, R&D, marketing, finance in the consumer's organization. The company could therefore maintain a leadership position in the competitive market due to its strategy of consumer satisfaction through a superior product quality and performance. Also, delivery dependability, then competitive prices and excellent provision of providing the customer service. For the capital items like heavy machineries and construction of factories and office buildings, direct selling with extensive interactions involving the top executions in both buying and selling organizations are very common. Negotiations take considerable time on the key factors such as price, ROI, that is return on investment, credit facilities, delivery period, installation time, third party certificate for the provision of jobs done, and so on. Next is personal selling. So, personal selling is the primary promotional method used for or used in industrial marketing. For example, let us consider the marketing strategy of a large furnace manufacturer intending to directly sell its furnaces to the industrial buyers. As the value of each furnace runs into millions and crores of rupees, the buyers treat it as a capital item. Senior executives from marketing, engineering, and finance from the selling organization not only decide the technique and commercial aspect at the time of submission of quotations, offers, but also visit as a team for negotiation with the senior technical and commercial persons from the buyer's organization. Now, apart from price, payment terms, delivery and installation time, meeting the technical parameters required by the customers and the performance of the similar furnaces supplied earlier to the other industrial customers plays important role in securing high order or high value orders. Direct selling is used for marketing the suppliers for large volume buying firms. Distributors or dealers are used to diverse the markets consisting of small and medium sized companies. The purchase of materials department persons generally make buying decisions based on dependability, price, delivery, locational convenience, and so on. Advertisement in magazines, advertisement in trade journals, local newspapers, yellow pages are used to generate awareness of the company. Nowadays, you can use digital marketing again to create the awareness of the company and its products to the latent users and distributors or dealers. In the strategy of marketing of services, buying firms contract the selling firms to know their reputation by the way of word of mouth. The selling firm's efforts are on consulting or advertising nature, and continuation of the services depends on the quality, price, and timeliness of service to meet the manufacturing needs. Now we will talk about purchasing practices of industrial consumers. Here we will talk about purchasing in commercial enterprise, and we will do some activity, small quiz type of thing, where I will tell you the activity and you have to tell the responsible unit for that activity. Okay, so first we will start with the first part, that is the industrial marketers market industrial goods or services at different types of customers or consumers as commercial enterprises, government, consumers, and institutional customers. For effective marketing of industrial products, it is significant to know the purchasing practices generally customized by the various types of industrial consumers. This speed is okay, na? Okay. So, purchasing in commercial enterprises. So, the purchasing practices depends upon the nature of businesses and the size of commercial enterprises, as well as the volume, variety, and technical complexity of the products purchased. In large and medium-sized organization, the purchase decision markets hail from the different departments, such as production department, materials, quality, then cost or accounting, engineering, etc. And this also includes senior management executives. Thus, there are many persons who influence the purchase decisions in such organizations. You must have studied the consumer behavior or consumer buying behavior process, where suppose I want to purchase some bicycle for my daughter, then I may be the own wholly or solely decision maker, or maybe my wife or my mother or maybe the daughter will be involved. So this decision making process is not much complex in normal consumer behavior or consumer purchasing, but there are many persons that may will be in picture for the purchase decision. So there may be some purchase officer, then there may be senior manager or head of the purchase department, then there may be board of directors, or if it is the small scale type of thing, then there may be owner. Okay, so you have to take permissions from the accounting department. Their signature should be there, and entire process can be complicated, and many persons can be involved. So industrial buyers use various techniques, namely material planning, or also supplier rating systems is also there. So it is a part of operations and supply chain management specialization, how to rate your suppliers. Then economic order quantity, that is EOQ, also value analysis, and so on. So a number of techniques are there. So materials or purchase managers are professionals. They must be well informed about the price trends, then commercial matters, and negotiating skills. They make use of in-house technical expertise when occur. Further, an industrial marketers must understand a set of formal purchasing procedures and documentation mentioned in a commercial enterprise. An industrial marketer must understand a set of formal purchasing process and documentation mentioned in a commercial enterprise. So we will just go for this activity. Now just look at the screen, and these are the responsible units. Suppose like there is user department, then purchase department, then supplier, stores where the capital or items are being stored, or you can say inventory, then quality or inspection department, or department related to finance or accounts. So just look at this figure. Okay, there are n number of responsible units. Now I will just read out the activity and you have to tell who is responsible for this activity. Are you there? Like we will take, yes, I can hear you. Like suppose the activity is like this: user department initiates the process by issuing purchase requisition. Okay, so there is a user department that initiates the process by issuing the purchase intention or purchase requisition or intent to purchase the material department. So which department is responsible for this? uh, Same activity I just talk about. Okay, material department like purchase department and user department both are responsible. Okay, now check if the material required is in stock, and if it is in stock, then the purchase order is issued to the user department, and then a purchase requisition is filed. So this is the activity. So who is responsible for this? Who will check the material is available in stock or not? No, stores is having the all the records, and who will check? The purchase department will check, and if there is a shortage, yes, if there is shortage, then they will generate the purchase order. Now again, if the material is not in stock, then identify the potential customers, sorry, potential suppliers, get quotations from them, negotiate with the suppliers, and select the proper suppliers, and issue purchase order to the suppliers. Who will do this? Yes, purchase department will do this. Correct. Then the supplier acknowledges with or vendor acknowledges the purchase order. So this is the activity. Acknowledgement of the purchase order, that I have received your purchase order. No, no. Who will acknowledge the purchase order? Because we are giving purchase order to whom? We are giving purchase order to suppliers. Yes, then supplier will acknowledge the purchase order. Okay, that I have received the purchase order, and accordingly now suppliers will act. Now, who will do the follow up with the suppliers of the proper delivery, whether they are giving the delivery on time or not? Barobar, correct. Yes. Then the supplier dispatches the material. Okay. Then informs the dispatch details to the purchase department. Like in that dispatch details, they will tell about what is the invoice, what is the lorry receipt number, what is the date, what are the various items that they have sent, what is the name of the transporter, what is the invoice total invoice value they are giving. So who will do this? No, it will done by supplier, because supplier will dispatch the material, and suppliers will inform to the purchase department. Okay. Now, uh, who will check the entire? Now, suppliers have dispatched everything. Okay, they have given the dispatch details, like I have just told. What is there in the lorry, lorry receipt number, then invoice. Okay, the transporter names, etc. Now they have dispatched. Now who will collect, or who will firstly who will collect this? Yeah, generally purchase department collects that, and after that they will hand over entire thing to the quality or inspection department, whether to like check whether everything is correct or not. Okay, so the quality control or inspection department checking the materials and generating the inspection report. So again, generation of the inspection report will be done by whom? uh, Inspection department, quality and inspection department, right? Okay. Now on the receipt of material, or stores, it's checking the materials or checking the delivery challan, and they are issuing that material receipt report, that is called as MRR. So who will issue the material receipt report? Received by them. Generally store department does that, because purchase department will be responsible for identifying the suppliers, generating a purchase order. Okay, after the collection is done, inspection is done, okay, purchase department will hand over entire thing to store department. Okay, now receipt of material, okay, receipt of material will be given, or issue of material received, because who will receive these materials? These materials will be received by store departments. That will the material will be there in the custody of stores. Okay, suppose they were having firstly 10 quantities, now they have received 100. So now they will issue the MRR, that is material receipt note, that they have received 100. So their stock will be 10 plus 100, now 110. So this activity will be done by stores department. Okay, now last two. Purchase department issues supplier invoice with MRR and IR, and it is given to account department for payment. And now this department will close the order. Who will do this? Who will hand over this MRR and inspection report to account department? No, inspection department is involved only in generating the inspection. Okay, now not again. Store will again receive the material and they will give just that we have received. Who will coordinate between all these departments? That proper department coordination will be done by purchase department. They will coordinate with the suppliers. They will coordinate with the inspection department. Then after received, they will give the entire things to store department, and all these reports generated by inspection department and store department, that the quality received of the material with this quantity, this quality, the quality is acceptable. And store, we have hand over entire thing to store. This is the receipt of store department also. So all these departments are given to finance department. Okay, why? Because now finance department will should issue the payment to the suppliers, right? Everything is received by suppliers, now we have to do payment. Okay, so entire coordination will be done by purchase department. Now last final simple, account department now checks all the above documents with purchase order, and who will issue the payments to the suppliers? Should by finance, yes, account and finance department. Okay, so this is the logical responsible units, I hope you understand. So this is the typical purchasing process. Huh. User department generally initiates the process of issuing the purchases requisitions or intent to purchase. Because user department means, you can say, in a manufacturing unit, suppose what is required, yes, so that the floor manager or that department which is going to use those type of raw materials will be user. That's why the name is given as user department, who will use those raw materials. Okay. So this is a typical purchase process, maybe in large or medium size commercial or organizations involved in various departments, like maybe technical department, R&D, production, quality, engineering, industrial engineering, finance, accounts, purchase, stores, and sometimes high value purchases and policy matters. Maybe senior level of executives are involved. Okay, maybe in small purchases, if you want to just purchase the papers, cartridges, etc., then may not be such a large type of activities generally done. So depending upon what you are purchasing, okay, what is the cost of purchase, and what is the severity or importance of that purchase material, depending on the users or various departments are involved there. So the major tasks in the purchasing process are identifying the potential suppliers, then negotiating and selecting the proper suppliers, then ensuring the right quality and quantity of material at the right time, and a long-term business relationship, developing of long-term relationship with the suppliers. Many commercial organizations have established a separate purchasing department to enhance the status of purchasing in manufacturing organization, because on average 50 to 70% of the sales revenue is spent on the purchase in this type of organizations. Therefore, the purchasing can enhance the operational efficiency by saving the material cost, or by making available good quality material at the right time, and thus contributing to the company's competitive advantage in the market. That is ultimate our aim. सो ओके, ये मैंने लिखा था, तो इट वुड हैव बीन easier फॉर यू टू आइडेंटिफाई, but we have done this. Okay, I have just read this. So next is the purchasing in government units. So the government units are the largest purchasers of industrial goods and services. Okay, to compete successfully to get more businesses, and industrial marketers must understand the complexity involved in selling to the government units. There are many centers where state and central government units buy a variety of products required by rails departments of telecommunication, then state electricity boards and state transport undertakings, defense units, and so on. Various type of agencies which finance the running contract for various standard departments on behalf of the central government. Though other large central and state government units have their own procurement department with a set of standard from the condition to be fulfilled by the suppliers. In general, the first step is to get the name of the company and the products registered with the government units. Generally, the procedure of registration involves the submission of duly filled standard forms, then product leaflets and company details properly certified by a chartered accountant. Some government units depute their inspectors to inspect the company's manufacturing facilities, and based on the favorable report that is generated by that inspector, from the government inspector, the company is registered as approved suppliers for those product consequently. For standard products and services, tender notices are advertised in the national newspaper, based on which the suppliers procure tender papers from the specified government authority after paying a small amount, that is called as tender fees. The suppliers are then required to submit tender offers in a sealed envelope, maybe duly signed by the authorities or signatory authorities as per the instructions given in the tender papers. Maybe by certain specified within the certain specified time frame and within the dates. After tenders offers are received in the tender box, the sealed covers are open at the specified time and date in the presence of the representatives of the suppliers, and then the prices, deliveries, and other relevant terms are read out for the benefits of those attending the tender opening. For closed tenders or limited tenders, the tender opening process of reading out of the prices and other terms are not followed. In closed or limited tender inquiry is sent to only limited or maybe few suppliers who are registered with government unit for certain category of non-standard products. The purchase orders are issued on the basis of evaluation of tender offers, or with or without negotiations with the suppliers. The tender offers of the various suppliers are kept secret and not made known to suppliers. Based on the lowest prices or the lowest landed cost, that is adding all the charges with the basic prices, the orders are released on the lowest bidder who has quoted at the lowest price or has the lowest landed cost. If other factors such as technical specification, the delivery period, and payment terms are the same as tender inquiry. If the value of tender inquiry is small, the orders are placed to one or two suppliers. If the tender value is large, then the maximum share of total value is decided on the lowest bidder, and the balance orders are distributed to more than one bidder after the bidders agree to match the lowest prices. There are small variations in the purchase processes described above in different government or public sector units. But however, these are the procedures, terms and conditions. The same are indicated in the tender papers. Now, what are institutional purchasing? Institutional buyers are either government or private organization. It is a government hospital or college. Then normally it follows the government purchase procedures. However, in case of privately owned educational or other type of institutions, the purchase procedures are similar to those followed by commercial enterprises. An industrial marketer should study the purchasing practices of each institutional buyer so as to be effective in marketing the company's goods and services. Now we will see purchasing in resellers market. Reseller market or replacement market consists of industrial dealers or distributors whose main goals are profit and sales volume. Therefore, the intermediaries select a supplier based on the product, quality, and also based on the policies of the supplier's product. An industrial dealer or distributor could deal either exclusively with the supplier or manufacturer's product or may deal with many competing firms of a product. Yet, the supplier related policies which affect the competitiveness of the traders in the markets are sharing of local advertising cost by supplier, then providing the product leaflets or display materials, competitive prices and trade discounts, flexible payment terms with credit facility, and so on. Acceptance of some of these terms by a dealer would depend upon the relative strength of the dealer and the supplier, and also on the consumer's acceptance level of the supplier's products. The reseller or the dealer distributor has to ultimately abide by the policies of the supplier or manufacturer. In a competitive market, both the reseller and the supplier has to work harmoniously as a team so as to face the competition, then increases the market share and making some sound profits is the aim of all. If a reseller or a trader does not make a profit over a certain period of time from the products and services of a manufacturer or supplier, he would most probably change the supplier because he does not achieve the main goal of profitability. Now, purchasing in cooperative societies. So, industrial marketers should study the purchasing practices of each cooperative society in order to become effective in the marketing their goods and services. For example, the cooperative sugar factories in Maharashtra and UP may adopt different buying practices while the purchasing sugar machineries, pump set, compressors, etc. While making the purchase decisions, their emphasis on the factors, namely quality, delivery, price, payment terms, services, and long term relationship with the suppliers. Also affect the purchase decisions under consideration. So this was about this chapter, that is industrial markets. Now we will just do the summary what you have learned. Okay, selling in industrial markets is complicated by a broad spectrum of customers. Then commercial enterprises, government organizations, institutions, and cooperative societies who give the buying responsibility to individuals or decision making units who are quite knowledgeable and well conversant in the specific market. These individuals are often more realistic in assessing the competitive value of a vendor's product than the vendors, since vendor analysis is their method of judging the competency of vendor. Thus, they normally identify, evaluate, and select suppliers, domestic and foreign, who provide the greatest value. To formulate a successful industrial marketing strategy, it is essential to know the administration or buying function in a diversity of markets and situations, and also to know the basis, namely nature of the business, size of the firm, the volume, variety, and technical complexity of the products purchased by the industrial buyers. Uh, should I take one small case study? I have written that case study, so page wise you can read. Okay, and you can say what you have learned or what you have understood from the case study. So this is the page number. Okay, after reading a few, after you have just finished reading, tell me, so I will go to the next slide. Should I go to next? Okay. Are you comfortable in like can you read now? Okay. So maybe you are traveling or you are just listening. I don't know. Okay. Yes, last is the question. Can you just try to answer? You can try. Or if you want, I will email you this PPT. Maybe in next class you can think and you can tell. There is no problem. It's a short answer. It's a short answer. We just have to elaborate within 4 to 5 lines. Okay. So this was for this PPT, industrial marketing lecture number 2. So we are having time, I think 45 minutes. So should we continue with the third, or generally I don't know how many time your class teachers are taking.